The National Mission for Manuscripts was set up by the Ministry of Culture, Government of India in 2003 to locate, to document, to conserve, to digitize, and provide access to the vast manuscript wealth of India spread in thousands of public and private repositories across the country and abroad. The mission has come a long way since then and has fruitfully contributed to creating a database of manuscripts, digitizing them, training conservators all over the country, creating a resource pool of manuscriptologists and paleographists, and providing support to scholars to prepare the critical edition of unpublished manuscripts. For wider outreach, the mission organizes lectures, seminars, and workshops for students and interested persons. Tattavada Lecture is one of such outreach programs where eminent scholars deliver lectures on topics related to Indology, and these lectures are published by the mission under Tattavada series. The ever supportive and encouraging Member Secretary IGNC, Professor Sachidananda Joshi, and the dynamic director of the National Mission for Manuscript, Professor Prathapanand Jha, have visualized the virtual presentation of Tattavada lectures in order to ensure continuity of this lecture series even in the adverse pandemic situation. The topic of today's Tattavada lecture is the relevance of Vaisheshika concepts today. Vaisheshika Darshan is one of the 6 orthodox schools of Indian philosophy, and Sage Kanad is the founder of this philosophical school. This school is known for its insights and naturalism. It is basically a metaphysics system of thought which classifies all being in 7 categories. It also firmly states that all non-eternal substances are made of minute atoms. In this talk, the basic theories of Vaisheshika Darshan and their significance will be explained briefly. Today's speaker is Professor K.E. Madhusudanan, is an eminent scholar of Nyaya, Vaisheshika and Vedanta. He is professor and head of department of Nyaya, Central Sanskrit University, Rajiv Gandhi Campus, Sringeri. He had state first rank in Sanskrit in higher secondary exam in Tamil Nadu. He is a regular guide to PhD students, has around 25 important research papers published. 7 scholarly books have been authored and edited by him. He is responsible for many research and consultancy projects, presented papers, and chairs many national and international conferences, seminars, workshops, symposiums. He has been awarded Maharshi Badarayan Vyas Samman 2012 by the Government of India, Shastra Ratnakara title by Srimad Andavan Ashramam, Biddat Pravar by Sringeri Sharada Pitha. Today's chairperson is very well known, Professor Dr. Mrs. Shashi Prabha Kumar. Professor Shashi Prabha Kumar is presently Dean Sri Shankaracharya Sanskrit Mahavidyalaya, Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, New Delhi. Earlier, she was founder vice chancellor at Shanchi University of Buddhist Indic Studies, Madhya Pradesh, and chairperson Special Center for Sanskrit Studies, JNU, New Delhi. She is an acclaimed Sanskrit scholar, well versed in classical Indian philosophy, particularly the system of Vaisheshika, which was her area of PhD research at University of Delhi. Professor Shashi Prabha Kumar has a teaching experience of 48 years and administrative experience of more than 9 years. She has also taught at the Oxford Center for Hindu Studies UK in the Trinity term 2007 as Shiv Dashani Visiting Fellow. She was offered ICCR Visiting Chair at Shilpakam University, Bangkok 2008. Professor Shashi Prabha Kumar has handled several projects at the Special Center for Sanskrit Studies, most significant of these being a UGC project titled Brihad Vaisheshika Kosha Sanskrit, which is yet to be published. recipient of several awards, including the prestigious President's Certificate of Honor in Sanskrit, Government of India, New Delhi, 2014, Shankar Puraskar from K.K. Birla Foundation, New Delhi, 1999, Ramakrishna Sanskrit Award from Canadian World Education Foundation, Canada, 2003, Mahakavi Kalidasa Sanskrit Sadhana Puraskara, Department of Higher and Technical Education, Maharashtra Government, Mumbai, 2015, and Honorary D.Litt conferred by Uttarakhand Sanskrit University, Haridwar, 2016. Professor Kumar has 35 books, more than 150 research papers, review articles to her credit. Her recent publications on Vaisheshika Darshan are Vaisheshik Darshan में पदार्थ निरूपण, Classical Vaisheshik in Indian Philosophy, Categories, Creation, Cognition in Vaisheshika Philosophy. May I request the chairperson to take on and begin today's session. Ma'am, you take on.
Thank you, Sanghamitra ji, for your kind introduction to the speaker and to the lecture. I am really grateful to the Indira Gandhi National Center for Arts, Secretary Professor Sachidanand Joshi ji and his team, and the National Mission for Manuscripts and its director, Professor Pratapanand Jha ji, for giving me this opportunity to learn a lot from the illumined and eminent speaker today, Professor K.E. Madhusudana. I was delighted to accept this invitation immediately because when she said that this is on the relevance of Vaisheshika concepts, so Vaisheshika has been my field of study for past 4 decades or so. I am very glad that today we shall be listening to Professor Madhusudana. I think all the students of Indian philosophy are aware that Vaisheshika, as Dr. Sanghamitra ji said just now, it is very well known as one of the 6 systems of Indian philosophy, but it is hardly studied independently. Usually in our tradition, the Nyaya is held to be the important stream of teaching and learning, and Vaisheshika as a sister school of Nyaya. But when we go deeper into the Vaisheshika philosophy, we find that there is a lot to learn from this Shastra in the field of metaphysics. Nyaya and Vaisheshika are complementary to each other because Nyaya focuses on pramanas while Vaisheshika talks of padarthas or prameyas. So I don't want to say much because I want to invite the speaker and let us listen to him about the relevance of Vaisheshika concepts today. It is true that in modern scholarship, Vaisheshika is gaining ground and it is getting very popular. In the traditional circles, it was not given that serious study which was required, but nowadays, due to its scientific aptitude and the concepts which are very much into applied science, it is gaining popularity. Many Western scholars are working in the field of Vaisheshika. In Indian universities, many of our students are also doing deep research in various texts with traditions and the concepts of Vaisheshika. So I would request Professor K.E. Madhusudan ji from Sringeri to kindly enlighten us by his talk. Professor Madhusudan ji.
गुरुभ्यः तद्गुरुभ्यश्च नमो वाकम् अधीमहे वृणीमहे च तत्राद्यौ दम्पती जगतां पति. Respected chairperson and former vice chancellor of Sanchi University of Buddhist Indic Studies, Professor Shashitprabha Kumarji, learned Dr. Sanghamitra Basuji, the coordinator of the publication wing of National Mission for Manuscripts, and also the coordinator of Tattva Bodha lecture series, which is organizing a webinar series. And my dear friends who have just tuned in to take part in this webinar, Namaste and good evening to all of you. It's my pleasure and privilege and honor to share an academic platform with an erudite scholar of Indian philosophy, Professor Shashi Prabhaji. Professor has published many works of philosophy, Indian philosophy in general and Vaisheshika Darshana in particular, and also on Vedic literature. I have come across a few of them, one being the Vaisheshika Insights into Science, and the other being the Indian literature and modern science. And she has authored many works on Vedic literature also. So it's a pleasure to join platform with her. So at the very outset, let me express my thanks to the organizers who have given me this opportunity to speak on the topic, the relevance of Vaisheshika concepts today. So I thank the NMM organizers, especially Dr. Sanghamitra Basuji, for this opportunity. See, the word philosophy refers to the knowledge of the causes and the laws of all phenomena. This knowledge is achieved by the quest for the truth and a strong urge and endeavor to solve the mystery of this world, given the diverse and multiple forms and characteristics of this world. Vaisheshika philosophy is one of the 6 orthodox systems of Indian philosophy. When we say systems, the term system is very inadequate to describe a philosophy in the Indian context, because at the root of every Indian philosophical system lies the plenary intuition of truth, which a gifted saint possessed. That is precisely why the Indian systems of philosophy came to be known by the Sanskrit word darshana. Darshana precedes redaction. In fact, if the ancient Greece, which is known for its pursuit of reality, gave birth to 13 systems, India on its part is the home of about 20 systems, out of which 6 are popularly known as orthodox darshana, Astika darshanas. As the very nomenclature signifies, these systems affirm the authority of Vedas, while those that negate or refute Vedas' authority are called Nastika darshanas. Nyaya Kandali gives a definition: Drishyate swargapavarga sadhana bhutaha arthaha anena iti darshanam. Vaisheshika is one of the Astika darshanas, and its propounder is sage Kanada. Kanada's parental name was Kashyapa. In fact, Prasastapada referred to him as Kashyapa when he said, Viruddha siddha sandigdham alingam Kashyapo braveet. Kanadam iti tasya kapotim vrittim anutishthataha rathyani tandula kanan adaya pratyaham kritahara nimitta sandhya, says Sridhara in Kandali. But this explanation is not given by Udayanacharya in his Kiranavali. The explanation of some Western critics is totally different. They say that the name means an atom eater. But it's neither helpful nor convincing, since Kannada was also called Uluka. This darshana of his came to be called Aulukya. Regarding the exact date of Kannada, there is no unanimity among historians. Even the place of birth and his personal character are not well established. The Vayu Purana says that Kanada was born in the end of 27th Chaturyuga. The usage of the words found in Kannada Darshana such as Mahat, Dirgha, Hrasva, Parimandala, Samavaya, and the refutation of Vaisheshika theory by sage Badarayana clearly show that Kannada is anterior to Badarayana. As regards the dates of the Sutra, Jacobi, one of the well-known philosophers and historians, is of the view that the Vaisheshika Sutras were redacted before 200 AD. Several other scholars surmised that they were redacted in the pre-Christian era subsequent to 300 BC. Scholar Randall holds that the Vaisheshika was systematized between 200 BC and 200 AD. Mahamahopadhyaya Kupuswami Shastri, in his Primer of Indian Logic, firmly believes that the time of Vaisheshika's origin is somewhere between the middle of the 4th century and 2nd century BC. Perhaps towards the end of the 4th century BC is the time given by Sri Kupuswami Shastri. The name Vaisheshika, its origin is not yet clear. The Chinese Buddhists Qi Tsan and Kuei Qi are of the view that Kannada's work came to be called Vaisheshika Shastra, in fact, since it excelled works of other systems, especially the Sankhya. Here the word Vishesha means, according to them, speciality or excellence. But the Indian tradition connects the name Vaisheshika with the doctrine of Vishesha, peculiarities, which is exclusively found in this philosophy. Regarding the commentaries, Prasasthapada Bhashya or Padartha Dharma Sangraha is the oldest of the known available texts on Vaisheshika Sutras. Unlike the Bhashyas of other sutras, the work of Prasasthapada is an independent one, and it is an independent systematization of Vaisheshika and does not tally with the usual definition of Bhashya. The definition goes like this: Sutrartho varanyate yatra padaihi sutranusaribhihi swapadani cha varanyante bhashyam bhashyavido viduhu. So this Prasasthapada Bhashya does not satisfy this lakshana. No mention of an earlier Bhashya is found in Prasasthapada. Prasasthapada's earliest possible date is the 5th century, according to Keith. The first commentary on Prasasthapada Bhashya after a long gap of at least 4 centuries is the Vyomavati of Vyoma Shivacharya. He is said to have preceded Udayanacharya. Sridhara is a contemporary of Udayana, and his commentary Nyaya Kandali on Prasasthapada Bhashya is extensive and remarkably clear. He has established the existence of God. Some scholars have mentioned one Bharadvaja Vritti, which is extinct. Upaskara of Shankara Mishra, a commentary on sutras, also mentions Vritti here and there. But it's not clear whether it is the same as Bharadvaja Vritti or not. But it's quite evident that several works on Vaisheshika were very much available before Prasasthapada. Look at the commentary of the first shloka in Kiranavali by Udayana on Prasasthapada, where he says, Sutreshu Vaisadhyabhavat Bhashyasya cha Vistaratvat Prakaranadinancha Ekadeshatvat. So it clearly shows us that not only Bhashya, but also some other texts on Vaisheshika existed before Prasasthapada Bhashya. Another commentary by name Leelavati by Srivatsacharya on Prasasthapada Bhashya is known by the introduction of Kandali by Kandali edition, I mean by Pandit Vindhyeshwari Prasad Sharma. It is worth mentioning here that there is a reference of Ravana Bhashya in the commentary Ratna Prabha of Brahma Sutra Bhashya of Shankara, where he says, Prakatarthakarastu yat dvabhyam vyanukabhyam arabdha karye mahatvam drishyate tasya hetuhu prachayaha nama prasithilavayava sanyogaha iti Ravana pranite bhashye drishyate iti chirantana vaisheshika drishtya idam bhashyam ityahu. But there is nothing conclusive available to say that this Ravana is the one who ruled Lanka during Lord Rama's period or some other person. However, almost all the historians concur on the fact that the period between the Sutra text and Prasasthapada is the dark period in the history of Vaisheshika literature, since many probable works on the sutras of that period have been lost. One can, however, find numerous citations and references pertaining to that period in the philosophical texts of other schools. And now, coming to the brief outline of this philosophy. The Vaisheshika Sutram has 10 chapters. Let me give a brief outline of this darshana before going into the relevance part of it. The total number of sutras, aphorisms, is 368. In the first chapter, 6 categories are enumerated. They are substance, attribute, action, generality, particularity, and inherence. Some scholars say that abhava as a category is not agreed upon by Kanada, but this has no supporting evidence. Kanada mentioned only 6 categories in the Uddesha Prakarana because bhava padarthas can be explained first, and abhava required the presupposition of bhava's knowledge. Although abhava was not mentioned in Uddesha, still it is explained by Kanada with all its 4 varieties in the last chapter, in the last but one, 9th penultimate chapter. So the Vaisheshika system agrees that there are 7 categories. The substances are 9-fold. Vis-a-vis earth, water, fire, air, akasha, time, space, self and mind. Prithvi, up, tejas, vayu, akasha, kala, vish, atma, manas. There are 24 attributes, 17 of which are uttered by name by the sage, while the others are intended by the usage of chakara, though not directly spelled out. They are color, rupa, taste, rasa, odor, gandha, touch, sparsha, number, sankhya, dimension, parimana, distinctness, pruthaktva, conjunction, samyoga, disjunction, vibhaga, priority, paratva, posteriority, aparatva, gravity, gurutva, fluidity, dravatva, viscidity, sneha, sound, shabda, intellect, buddhi, pleasure, sukha, pain, dukkha, desire, ichha, aversion, dvesha, and volition, prayatna. There are 5 types of actions. Throwing upwards is the first one. Throwing downwards, contraction, expansion, and going. Utshepana, avakshepana, akunchana, prasarana, gamana. Attributes and actions reside in substances which are their inherent causes. Action is the absolute cause of conjunction and disjunction. Generality and particularity depend upon intellection. Generality is accepted as the fourth padartha, which is called samanya. See, one sees several cows. He has an impression that they are cows. The impression is caused because there is anuvritta buddhi, that is the continuous idea of the cow. There is something in all these cows which creates the thought, and that something is to be called samanya. And to explain the similarity of cognitions arising on various objects, one has to accept this concept of samanya, which is eternal and all-pervasive. The fifth category is vishesha, which is called particularity. It resides only in eternal substances like atoms and akasha. An object can be differentiated from other objects owing to its constituent, its component parts. But atoms do not have any parts, so one atom is to be distinguished from the other on account of its vishesha or particularity. This particularity can be perceived only by yogins, not by general people with naked eyes. The sixth category is samavaya or inherence, which is the relation between substance and quality, substance and action, samanya and its abode, and vishesha and its substratum, which is the eternal substance. It is the same relation that exists between cause and effect. It is an inseparable relationship. The seventh category is, of course, the abhava padartha. It's of four kinds: pragabhava, pradvamsa abhava, atyanta abhava, anyonya abhava. In the second chapter, and of course in the third chapter too, the 9 substances are clearly dealt with. Prithvi has color, taste, smell, and touch. Water has color, taste, touch, liquidity, and viscidity. Fire has color and touch, while air possesses touch only. Akasha does not have any of these attributes, but has shabda. Earth, water, and fire can be perceived, but air and ether, which is akasha, are imperceptible. However, the existence of air can be established by a process of inference. Inference is done on the basis of certain known characteristics such as touch. Similarly, akasha can be inferred as the substratum for the sound, which is not an attribute of the tangibles, nor even atman, nor even mind. So by ruling out other substances, we come to the conclusion that akasha is the substratum of sound. Odor is the characteristic, of course, distinct characteristic attribute of Prithvi, which heat and coldness, whereas heat and coldness are of Tejas and Jala respectively. Time is regarded as an instrumental cause of all non-eternal things, things which are produced. It is one, but it is the cause of the notions of posteriority, simultaneity, slowness, quickness, etc. Space gives rise to the knowledge of remoteness and nearness. Though space is one, different cognitions like east, west, north, south, etc. are in relation to the conjunctions of the sun, the Vaisheshikas say. Akasha, time, space are all vyapaka, all pervasive and inactive. They do not have actions. Sound is the special attribute of Akasha, and sound is non-eternal, one produced by conjunction, disjunction, and other sounds. In the third chapter, the existence of self and mind are established by inferential process. Self is the substratum for knowledge, jnanachikaranam atma. Inhalation, opening and closing of eyes, life, motion of mind, pleasure, pain, desire, and aversion are the distinct characteristics of Atman. So by these attributes, one can infer Atman, even the other self. The cognition of I can be applied only to self. The conjunction of Manas with Atman and senses is essential for producing a cognition. The saying goes thus in Bhashya, Atma Manasa Sanyujyate Mana Indriyena Indriyamarthena Tatah Pratyaksham. Hence, mind is a substance which is inferred to explain the process of perceptual knowledge, Pratyaksha. Not only that, it is also required to explain the non-production of two cognitions simultaneously by the senses. Jnana Yogapadyat Ekam Manah, says Gautama also. So this is the gist of third chapter. In the fourth chapter, it is stated that since the existence of the effect is due to the existence of the cause, an eternal object is not produced because it has no cause. So it is not an effect. The common visibles are numbers, extension, separateness, conjunction, disjunction, priority, posteriority, and the action inhering in a colored substance. It is also said that earth, water, fire, and air exist in three forms vis-a-vis body, sense organ, and objects. Sharira, Indriya, Bhedat, Trividham. Body is made up of a combination of atoms. Bodies are of two kinds: those born of the womb, Yonija, and those that are not so born, Ayonija. The fifth chapter clearly puts forth the position of Vaiseshikas that gravity, Gurutva, is the cause of falling when there is no conjunction. Sanyoga bhave Gurutvat Patanam is the sutra. In the absence of conjunction, falling of water also results from gravity. Flowing, however, is due to fluidity. Some motions are caused by an inexplicable source called Adrishta, which means literally unseen. So, what are all due to Adrishta? The movement of the gem, they say gem, here the exact word used by Sutragara is mani. Here mani means a vessel of gold filled with water which moves under magical incantations. So that gem moves only because of Adrishta. The movement of a needle towards a magnet, the circulation of water in the inner parts of the trees, the upward rising of flames, the horizontal flow of the air, and the first action or the creative motion of atoms are all caused by Adrishta. Without Adrishta, water which moves and there will be no conjunction also. There will be no conjunction of body with soul, and there can be no emancipation. There can be no moksha. The sixth chapter states that fasting, continence means here the ability to control the movements of bowel and bladder, and spiritual life, performance of sacrifice, giving of alms, annadana, offering oblations, religious observances, all depend on Adrishta to bring about the desired outcome. The authority of Vedas is also established in this chapter. The seventh chapter describes the specific attributes color, taste, smell, and touch, along with great and minute dimension, Mahat Parimana and Anu Parimana. Extension is the eternal, external, which is present in the eternal substances, is eternal, while the extension in the produced or non-eternal things is non-eternal. The eternal mind is atomic. The 8th chapter states the position of Vaisheshika that no substance has the nature of all the 5 elements. On the contrary, all the bodies and sense organs are of the nature of one or the other, but single element, not all elements. In the 9th and 10th chapters, one can find the views of Vaisheshika on negation, abhava, nature of reason, doubt, consciousness, etc. So this is the brief outline of Vaisheshika philosophy. And let me now go to the significance part of it. That presents us from further, that prevents us from further division. He calls it Anu or Paramanu. The atom is described to be one-sixth part of a mote seen in the sunbeam and visible only to yogins. See, there is a saying, Jala Surya Marichistham Yat Sukshmam Upalabhyate Tasya Shattatamo Bhagaha Paramanu Prakirtitaha. And Kannada also speaks about motion. There is a sutra, Nodana Visheshat Udasana Visheshaha. This means special speed or velocity is due to special force. In this sutra, the author is stating his knowledge of force and acceleration. Special force or greater force causes special speed or greater speed. In other words, acceleration is directly proportional to force. Thus, we see that the author was familiar with laws of motion. We have shown one law of motion in this sutra, and we have shown another law of motion in the which is present in the previous sutras also. And for want of time, I'm not dealing with that. The author was familiar with force and its necessity to cause acceleration. He was also aware of a force causing the fall. So we can finally conclude that the author was familiar with Gurutva, which causes free fall, and he was aware of a force which causes a free fall unless prevented, and he was also aware of acceleration caused due to a force. So, summing up all the three, we can state that acceleration due to a force causing free fall due to Gurutva was known. Here, the etymological link between the word Gurutva in Sanskrit and the word gravity in English through its Greek origin cannot be ignored, because we all know the relationship of Greek with Sanskrit. Can I go on?
Okay, sir. Now, chairperson will say. Now, you just wrap it up.
Okay. So he also speaks about ballistic motion, and he speaks about kinetic energy. So the science of physics is very much found in Vaisheshika philosophy, and he also speaks about electric discharge. Tatra Visthurjathur Lingam is the sutra where he speaks about electric discharge. So the To sum it up all, I must say only this much. Vaisheshika is a very vast ocean. And I'm only reminded of Sir Isaac Newton's words when he says, I have only given some glimpses of its glory. I would only wish to I seem to have been only like a boy playing on the seashore, picking up pebbles and stones now and then, while the great ocean of truth lay all undiscovered before me. So it's not, it's a very uphill task to cover this subject given the paucity of both time and my capacity. So I conclude my speech by saying only one sloka of Sri Venkatadhari in Vishwagunadarsha Champu, where he says, Moham runadhi vimali kurute cha buddhim. Moham runadhi vimali kurute cha buddhim. Sute cha samskrita pada vyavahara shaktim. Shastrantara bhyasana yogyatamam vyanakti. Tarkashramo natanute kamihopakaram. And also goes on to say, Prayah kavyair gamita vayasaha Paniniyamburashehe Parajnasyapyaparikalitan Nyaya Shastrasya Pumsaha Vadarambhe Vaditu Manasaha Vakyam Ekam Sabhayam Prahva Jihva Bhavati Kiyatim Pasya Kashtam Avastham. It's precisely this, due to this, that in the saying, famous saying, Kanadam Paniniyancha Sarvashastropakarakam, Kanada precedes Paniniya. The reason being, if one is not well versed in with Kannada, he cannot even utter a single sentence in a sabha before scholars. See the dharma dharmi bhava, the substrate and substratum relationship is clearly spelled out only in Vaisheshika Sutra. So only by knowing dharma dharmi bhava one can speak with clarity. So Vaisheshika in that way is very useful, and one who has mastered Vaisheshika can acquire knowledge of any branch of knowledge. So with these words, let me conclude, and I wish to take this opportunity to once again thank Dr. Sanghamitra ji for having invited me to speak before you all. And it's a very unique experience to me. And by interacting with scholars, it's an opportunity for me to gather some more knowledge. So thank you all. Namaste.
Madam, unmute, madam. Madam, unmute.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Professor Madhusudanji. You have tried to encapsulate the breadth and depth of Vaisheshika in 40 minutes, which is really, really impossible. But we are able to see that you have done Tarka Shrama, Shrama in Tarka. Let me first begin with the invocation to Kanada, which has been made by Prashastapada in his work Prashastapada Bhashya or Padartha Dharma Sangraha. He begins, Yogachara Vibhutya Yas Toshaitva Maheshwaram, Yogachara Vibhutya Yas Toshaitva Maheshwaram, Chakre Vaisheshikam Shastram, Tasmai Kana Bhuje Namaha, Tasmai Kana Bhuje Namaha. So this evening, we are paying tribute to the propounder of Vaisheshika. His name may be Kanada or Kashyapa, Uluka or Pailuka. There are many names ascribed to Kanada as well as to the Vaisheshika Shastra. So you have given us glimpses of almost all the aspects of Vaisheshika, right from its propounder, the nomenclature of Vaisheshika Shastra, the period, the padarthas, themes described by Kanada in his sutras, and much more, because you have tried to relate it with the physics and physiology. You have tried to suggest atomic theory of Kanada. Then you have also hinted towards Panchabhutas, material dravyas, but we can see that there is much more which is left. The Vaisheshika is so comprehensive because there is a linguistic area in which Kanada almost has some 30 sutras where he refutes the Purva Pakshins, the Mimamsakas in this case, who say that the Shabda is Nitya, while Kanada says Shabda is Anitya. So there is a vast debate going on. One of my students has done his PhD on this. And because this event is organized by National Mission for Manuscripts, so I would like to mention that I always motivated my students go and bring some manuscript on Vaisheshika. So at the moment I can remember that 4 or 5 of them searched for the manuscripts. One of them was on Tarka Sangraha Prakashini Tika, which he could find from Jodhpur in Rajasthan. Bhasha Ratnam, one student of mine, she did her PhD on this. Kanada Rahasyam of Padmanabha Mishra. There is a Kanada Rahasyam of Shankara Mishra who wrote Upaskara, that is published. But this Kanada Rahasya of Padmanabha Mishra, who wrote a Setu Tika on Prashasta Pada Bhashya, this was in the form of a manuscript available from Bhandarkar Oriental Research. He did his PhD on that. Another one did on the Padartha Deepika and Tarka Pradeepa of Kaunda Bhatta, whom we know more as a grammarian rather than as a Vaisheshika. So having said that, I would also like to mention that there are 5 recent Sanskrit commentaries on Vaisheshika. I don't know whether other systems have full-fledged commentaries on their sutras, but Vaisheshika has 5 such commentaries published in 20th century. One of my students did his PhD on this. Brahma Muni Bhashyam, Veda Bhaskara Bhashyam, Rasayana Bhashyam, which is written from the scientific point of view, Vaidika Vritti, and Sugama Vritti. So besides these Sanskrit commentaries, as I mentioned earlier, that there are some Western scholars who are working in the field of Vaisheshika. And these include, I would like to mention the names of a few such scholars from Germany, Professor Dr. Halbfass, Wilhelm Halbfass, who is no more, but he published a book on Vaisheshika, independent book, Classical Vaisheshika on Being and What There Is. Bronkhorst has published several articles. He has edited the proceedings of a panel which was held in the World Sanskrit Conference, a special panel on classical Vaisheshika. Then we have Bronkhorst is from Switzerland, Victoria Lysenko from Russia. She has published 3 or 4 books in Russian language on Vaisheshika. Then we have Albrecht Wetzler, a very senior scholar from Hamburg University, where I had a chance to go and collect some material regarding these researches in Nyaya Vaisheshika. Karin Preisendans from Vienna. Then we have from Japan, many scholars in Japan are working on Vaisheshika. One of them is Tanaka Norihiko, who has collected some 36 manuscripts of Padartha Dharma Sangraha. Then we have a young scholar from Japan, Katsunori Hirano. He has published a book on the text science of Vaisheshika. Then we have Harunaga Isaacson, who is the head of the institute at Hamburg University. He did his PhD on this topic, materials for the study of Vaisheshika. Masanobu Nozawa in Japan, who translated Chandrananda Vritti, and he did his PhD from Madras University, Chennai. I asked him whether we can have a copy of that translation of Chandrananda Vritti. He said, I don't have, Madras University might be having, where I submitted my PhD. Then we have a young scholar from Oxford University who did his PhD on Vaisheshika, Chandrananda Vritti itself, Ionut Moise, whose thesis was sent to me for evaluation, and I did his viva voce too. So this much I have said for the young scholars and the researchers, that there is a lot of scope to work in the field of Vaisheshika, and there are many aspects which are being explored by scholars. There are still many more manuscripts lying there in the libraries and maybe in private collections which we don't know. And as has been suggested by the learned speaker this evening, the physical aspect, the physiological aspect, the metaphysical aspect, the psychic aspect when we talk of manas in Vaisheshika, and when we talk of the self, the spiritual aspect of Vaisheshika comes in. He also mentioned of the 6th chapter of Vaisheshika, where morals and rituals, these are taken into account. And as I hinted earlier about the linguistic aspect, but there is much more to this. There are many ancient commentaries on Vaisheshika. The earliest available, of course, is Prashastapada Bhashya, upon which there were commentaries like Vyomavati, Nyaya Kandali, Kiranavali of Udayanacharya, then Nyaya Leelavati of Sri Vallabhacharya, an independent work, Upaskar of Shankara Mishra. And I would like to quote a shlok from Udayanacharya. He says in his Kiranavali about the neglect of Vaisheshika by scholars. He says, Ati virasam asaram mana varta vihinam. Ati virasam asaram mana varta vihinam pravitata bahu vela prakriya jala dustham udadhi samama tantram tantram etad vadanti. Udadhi samama tantram tantram etad vadanti. Prakhala jada dhiyo ye tenu kampyanta ete. Prakhala jada dhiyo te ye tenu kampyanta ete. Those who allege that the Vaisheshika is virasa, it is asara, manavarta vihina, pravitata bahu vela, prakriya jala dustha, udadhi sama atantram, tantram. These are all prakhala jada dhiya. They are the stupid people, and I am in fact doing a great service to them. Tenu kampyanta ete. It is my compassion towards them that I am writing this text for their benefit. I hope that they will read this and they will get enlightened. They will remove their confusions. So this much from the pen of Udayana, who was a staunch scholar, a very great scholar of Nyaya and Vaisheshika both. He wrote 2 books on Vaisheshika, Kiranavali, a commentary on Prashastapada Bhashya, and Lakshanavali, an independent book on Vaisheshika. So, as we know, Shankaracharya has refuted many systems of Indian philosophy in his Brahma Sutra Bhashya, and in his Tarka Pada, he refutes Vaisheshika in vehement terms. He gives arguments and arguments. He also calls them Ardha Vainashikas and gives many arguments. But when we go deeper into the allegations and the refutations made by Shankara, we can resolve many of them, and we can. This was the tradition in our Indian philosophical texts, that Purva Paksha and Uttara Paksha. But there has hardly been an Uttara Paksha to Shankaracharya's Brahma Sutra Bhashya. He included all the Purva Pakshas, and many Purva Pakshas have their Uttara Pakshas, but Vaisheshika Uttara Paksha is yet to be written on Shankara's commentary in the Brahma Sutra, where he refutes the Vaisheshika Shastra. So I am glad that there are young scholars like Professor Madhusudanji who have taken up this Shastra, and they will, because now we are on the other side of age. We have studied it, and I have studied independently. I am not that fortunate like Madhusudanji, who get the traditional teachings. because they have their Guru Parampara. I read inch by inch, but at this moment I must remember my Guru, late Professor Vachaspati Upadhyay ji, who gave me this topic of Vaisheshika Darshana for PhD in Delhi University. I was not aware what lies ahead me. And I asked him, what shall I do? Because you have given me the whole of Vaisheshika Darshana from Kanada to date. He says, if you could complete it, if this research is completed, it will give you name and fame both. And his words came true, because I could go on working hard and hard under his guidance, his affectionate guidance, and this work is before the scholars, but there are young scholars who will carry this tradition forward. In the ancient times, we had the Sampradayas, and Udyotakara has defined the Sampradaya in his Nyayavartikam. He says, Sampradaya Shishyacharyayoho avichedena sambandha praptihi. What is a Sampradaya? Sampradaya Shishyacharyayoho avichedena sambandha praptihi. When the teacher and the taught are in constant touch, that is a Sampradaya. So this Sampradaya of Vaisheshika should go on. Many teachers can inspire young students to study this Shastra, do their researches in this, explore and unravel many manuscripts for this Shastra with these words and with this hope. I would suggest one thing to National Mission for Manuscripts, because the lectures are named as Tattva Bodha. And we have the famous saying in Sanskrit, Vade Vade Jayate Tattva Bodha. So this name, this appellation will be more meaningful if some question answer session is added to this. Because if there is no Vada, Tattva Bodha will not be complete. So please, to make it more meaningful, please increase 10 minutes or please decrease 10 minutes of the speaker and bring in the question hour session, so that the young aspirants can ask questions, they can raise some observations, and some dialogue can take place. With these words, I thank the NMM, I thank Sanghamitra ji and all her team. I thank Professor Joshi ji and I thank Professor Madhusudan ji. Thank you so much. Namaste.
Thank you. Namaste.
I am short of words. What a wonderful evening, real Vaisheshika evening. I, on behalf of National Mission for Manuscripts, express sincere thanks to the speaker, Professor K.E. Madhusudanan, and the eminent, well-known scholar. We are so, Professor Shashi Prabha Kumarji. We are glad that you have agreed to come, and we are enriched today. Lot of things from the speaker and from the chairperson, who put them in nutshell and give so many, opened our eyes. Thank you, madam. Actually, in general Tattvabodha lecture, you always arrange this question answer session, and as it is a virtual thing, a paucity of time, 1 hour, usually we give that email ID of the speaker so that they can directly in touch if any question. But I will try to our director, Professor Pradhapananda Jha, for your suggestion. Thank you, madam, very well. Thank you, speaker.
Thank
Dr.
you. Thank you, madam.
Namaste.
Thank you, professor. Thank you, Sanghamitra ji. Namaste. Namaste.
Namaste.
See you all again.
Ma'am, should I close the session?
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am.